I saw my first game here in 1958 when my old dad brought me here. And behind one of the goals, which is now a terracing, there used to be a grassy bank, and you just used to run around there. Obviously, as I grew older, I got more into it, and my wife would say that Merthyr Town is my life now.
Oh, I mean, Merthyr Town FC to me, it means everything to me. It's basically, Merthyr Town FC has basically educated me. I mean, everything I've learned about life has come through the football club. You know, the community, the friends I've got, even education, you know, people on the terrace, as was swapping books and stuff, you know.
I've been a supporter of the club for many years, since I was a child, basically. Thankfully, we are now seeing many young children supporting the club, and I hope that they will get as much out of the club as I have over the years.
I watched the club for about 45 years while I was working and bringing my family. That's all I did. I came here, but when I retired 16 years ago, I started to get involved with the football program. That was the first job I did, and so it's become a pretty large part of my life. My wife would say too large a part of my life, but I just love coming here. It's a joy to come in, and especially in the week when it's quiet and other people are working. It's a joy to come in.
It's just one of those places that you go to and you automatically feel at home. I mean, I think the players feel it, and I think the staff that work here feel it. And definitely, like from my point of view, from the women's walking football team, we pull in people from all over, so we're not just necessarily from Merthyr, but they love it here.
Well, Merthyr is your typical working class post-industrial town.
It's a town with a great history, particularly back in the 19th century with the Industrial Revolution.
Well, 1908 would have been still just the tail end of the boom years, because it's, you know, just before the First World War. So the time the town was still quite affluent. It was the Edwardian time. Because the town was quite affluent at the time, that was one of the reasons they wanted to have a football team. All the other big towns have got a football team. We need one. And at the time, Merthyr was, you know, just at the time still producing lots of coal, lots of iron, lots of steel, and it was you know, a good place to live and work at the time. At 1920s, he said the town is booming, so the club is booming. 1923-24, we've reached the Welsh Cup final. We lose it in a replay in Wrexham. So the early years are great. But as the economy slows down, so does the finances into Merthyr, and people can't afford to come.
They used to have thousands of people watching the team train, but very few of them could come up on a Saturday because they couldn't afford the 5 old pennies to get into the game.
But then the club carried on for 3 or 4 years, trying to keep itself going, trying to get back in the Football League, but that was a forlorn hope. So by 34, the doors were closed by 34. Supporters form a supporters trust in order to try and, you know, help the club to start with.
Wanted to raise money to help the club survive, because quite often the wages sometimes weren't being paid, that type of thing.
The supporters are at loggerheads with the board, often an absentee board, regard to how the club should be run.
There were arguments between the society and the owners, which didn't help, and it led to quite a few society members actually being banned from coming into the ground.
We sort of fell out of sync with the club based on their needs of wanting all the money we were raising. We felt at the time that the club was in trouble, so we kept reserves back.
It looked like the club, the owner was starting to lose interest. He wasn't local, although he had local business interests. And like many clubs, we were in a situation where he was losing interest, the debts were growing, and there was a chance the club would go out of existence.
We lent money to the club to pay, I think it was the water bill, and unfortunately there was no end in sight of the problems.
When it came to the summer of 2008, we decided that we would put the club into administration, because otherwise we thought it would disappear overnight without us having any influence at all.
But we didn't really know what we were doing totally. It was a big step into the unknown. And where we are now compared to then is just amazing. But you know, we had to take on the administrator, the receiver. We had 12 months in exile in Taftswell. You know, if it wasn't for Taftswell Football Club, this club wouldn't be here now. You know, literally just took us in for 12 months. And it was a scary time.
And that's when the start of the trust actually running the club. Because the trust only had members who paid to join, and they had a vote on the board and things like that. But when we started actually taking over the reins of the football club, we needed a lot of money. And if we'd given it all to the previous owner, I think Merthyr Town, as it is now, would be dead and buried.
Second World War, the war is won, everybody's happy. Servicemen from all over Merthyr are all over the world looking forward to coming home. So what they want to come home to though is a football team, because you know, Merthyr's a football town. They still remember the Football League days. So the establishment in the town decided we have to reform a team. That's great. So it's the time of the shillings. So what they said was all the servicemen were sending shillings home. So that club was built on the servicemen shillings. So that built up the funds. And so in 1945-46, the team was able to enter the Welsh League, which they rattled through very quickly. And then by the year after, they were back in the Southern League.
They were very successful. They won the Southern League 5 times in 10 years. They won the Welsh Cup a couple of times. So they were hugely successful.
And again, it's just it's a very quick explosion of success. Very quick. Well, the football club is a fan-owned football club. It has a constitution. So, and it's run on very simple principles, really. If you want to own Merthyr Football Club, you can. It costs you £20, and it gives you a vote. But it's one member, one vote, though. Doesn't matter if you want to put 100 grand in, please do. But you still only get one vote.
It gives your average fan a little bit of ownership, because for £20 a year, they become an owner. They can have a say in what goes on up here, you know, AGMs, and they can stand on the board. They can run the club themselves if they want to, as part of a committee.
Here, you are part of the decision making, so it's a very different ethos. You have to be careful. If you want to start shouting from the terraces or something, somebody will come along and say, well, go and do it then. Come on, you go and do it. Okay, that's a good idea, let's do it.
So the strength of running the club is in the hands of the supporters.
You know, the people involved in the background of Merthyr are local Merthyr people. It's the passion that they provide, and I don't think you get that in bigger clubs.
And I think that generates the atmosphere around the ground. Everyone is pulling together to keep the club going.
We're a social enterprise. That's what we are. We were able to gain a lot of grant funding to make the club the part of the community. So we put the artificial pitch down. Now that has changed everything totally. That has changed the dynamic of the club.
Basically, if you visit this club any day of the week, any one of the 7 days of the week, the car park is usually fairly full.
Just like on a Monday morning and a Thursday morning, you've got the men's walking football. And then the women, we train on a Wednesday evening. But like when we arrive, before us, the academy has happened. So at 5 o'clock, you've got the kids. So the academy are here first, then we train, we have half the pitch, and the women's senior team, as in the 11-a-side team, they have the other half of the pitch. We quite often have a bit of banter. At the moment, the international walking football women's team train here on a Sunday morning once a month.
And also we've got good office facilities which are hired out. People have conferences here and functions and training, all sorts. If you come here almost every day of the week, there's somebody using the facility.
The days of any football ground, of a football ground being opened at 1:30 on a Saturday and shut at 5 o'clock, they don't work anymore. You know, it's got to be work for something. It's a big area, it's a big ground, and there's nothing better than people being here.
Yes, it's a community. It goes back to the word community, and I think the operative word, if you all work together, then you'll get through some of the tough times, which we have over the last probably 12, 13 years. And everything is looking forward to the future now with a good manager, good set of players, and a good set of fans.
We've seen good times, we've seen bad times, as with all football clubs. We've had numerous problems over the years. We've had numerous success over the years, and I think that happens to all football clubs.
The Town FC today is a quietly ambitious club. It's quietly ambitious. I think we're doing really well. We have got a long way to go still, with regard to getting our academy status back, getting ourselves back in with that. But at the moment, we're progressing really well, and it's stable. So you've got the two things in there. We're progressing and the club is stable, which is exactly where we want to be. Football clubs, like any sports club, doesn't matter what it is, football club, this is about community. So everybody comes up in Adam Park on any given match day or in between will want to talk about football. You go into the town centre now, somebody will stop you and talk about well, we had a great win last night. Amazing win away from home, 2-1, just shocked us all. I mean, this morning text and everything. It's about contact, it's about community, and a lot of people, rely on the football club, to see people. I mean, they may not see anybody from one day to the next. Saturday afternoon though, on the terraces, and meet people.
There's no point in having a figurehead who you don't know. You don't know them, you don't see them. I mean, the people here, they're in the stands with the fans. They mingle with the fans in the bar afterwards for a drink. There's no them and us feeling, and I think the fans from that feel that they are part of it.
In a way, I suppose, it is like a gigantic family. The fans know that they can speak to anyone on the board, and we will do our best to answer them. We will do our best to, if they say, can we improve this, can we improve that, we do our best to try and do that for them.
Here, the club is run by people who are elected, so those people have to be visible, and if they're not visible and they're not accountable, then they will gradually be removed from the board. And that has happened. The board has changed significantly over the 10 years. I was on the board myself for 4 or 5 years, but the board has changed, and so that visibility is important for the fans.
It is vitally important that our owners have a say in how the club is run, how we move forward, and keep the place happy and vibrant, which currently is what it is.
That's the thing, the one thing we want to push is you belong to this football club. You belong to it because it's owned by you. So, you can do whatever you want with it. You can do whatever you want with it. You want to put a jumble sale on? Come and do a jumble sale. No problem. But that's fine. If you want to raise some charity, for money from local charity that you're very sort of passionate about, yeah, we'll do that. I think people know that they can come forward and ask for things, and that's missing sometimes in some of those major clubs.